Welcome back, everyone. Pal Ponder on Weather here. Hope everyone out there is enjoying your weekend. Let's start off with the details so far where we stand for the month of July for the first 3 weeks. And you can actually see, based on the temperature anomalies, it hasn't been hot everywhere. In fact, a good part of the central and northern plains has actually been below average. It's been feeling really comfortable across the middle of the country. It's really the outskirts across the west coast and a good part of the southwest, much of Texas, and across the southeast and portions of the northeast has experienced those above average temperature anomalies. But for the middle of the country, it's been quite a change. And, that cool down, you've been getting more cool downs. In fact, you're actually sharing some of that cool down with parts of the South this morning, as we did have a decent sized cold front come in for July standards, pushing further south. That actually infiltrated in portions of Oklahoma, got into Arkansas, got into portions of northern Mississippi, and going into Alabama here, and even parts of North Texas. It's actually put on the brakes somewhere around the Waco region. And further south of that, you're still locked into the heat, and that cold front is going to be washing itself out later on this afternoon. You can actually see where we stand as where the jet stream is and where that ridge of high pressure, this is in this white shaded zone. This is where we have still all the excessive heat warnings and the heat advisories. But on the northern periphery of there's the northern side of that ridge, and that puts the storm placement and the storm track and where we're going to be seeing later on this afternoon. So to the south of that stalled front, that's where the storm placements are going to be. That's going to be originating back into the Lake Charles region, getting into New Orleans, back into Mobile, back into portions of Tallahassee, getting into Jacksonville. And then the northern side of the setup east of the Rockies is also going to be seeing some big time hail producers later on this afternoon across a good part of western Kansas, getting into parts of western Oklahoma, and some of that actually might sneak into the Texas panhandle. But this chart's actually pretty interesting. This is where we stand on the precipitation front for summer so far. If you take all the history dating back all the way back to 1893 to today, back from the last 131 years, you can see based on the precipitation is falling so far, it's been bone dry. Even comparative, it's typically dry in the southwest, but it's been abnormally dry. In fact, Phoenix hasn't seen a drop of rain in over 120 days now. But it's been completely the opposite across the Texas panhandle and even portions of Colorado. There's a 1. That is your all-time record wettest summer so far to date, based in just in the last 130 years. So that's pretty impressive across these regions. They've been getting these setups, and they've been really originating from here, and then they've been diving east southeast. So these areas in Oklahoma City is 10th. They're seeing almost their very wet July, back into Arkansas through Mississippi. But if you go further south, it's been completely the opposite. Fairly dry in the DFW area, and even drier down here if you get into the South Texas region and out here in West Texas, down in towards the El Paso region, and even in New Mexico, it's been really dry. So here's the cold front where we stand so far. On going into tomorrow, like I mentioned, it does kind of wash itself out right down here towards the southeast. So any cooler game in town is going to be left over, is going to be slowly eaten away, because this ridge of high pressure really starts to come back with a vengeance next week. And these areas that have been seeing the cooler temperature anomalies is going to be replaced with that ridge of high pressure. And you're going to be finally getting into the action and starting to feel the real effects of summertime temperatures. So if we take a look at what we climatologically see this time of year, we're going into the hottest time frame from July 23rd through about the middle of August. Those 3 weeks, just on average, if you just take a normal day, what you would typically see, you typically see about 107 degrees just on an average day in the Phoenix area, 97 and in and around the Dallas-Fort Worth area, back into the near 90 across portions of Denver, 82 typically, and in the Minneapolis region. So you can depend on where you live in the country, what you see your highest temperature anomalies. So for the next 3 weeks, just on average, you're already hot. But with that ridge of high pressure really building in, much of the country is actually going to be above those temperatures. So for the next 48 hours, yeah, there's the ridge of high pressure pretty much dominating out west. The monsoon basically has been non-existent this time of year, has started to see subtle signs of it starting to creep in, but it's really draped across the southern portions, like say Tucson. You've been getting the action and some of the storm activity, but it's been very, very isolated. The monsoon is really not been a factor in which they needed to be, because these areas, like I showed you, have been really bone dry in these regions. And but draped across the south, obviously where that cold front is right now for the next 48 hours, that's where you're going to get the most rain opportunities across the I-20, I-30 corridor. And then further to the north, up here across a good part of the upper Midwest, just kind of a sporadic showers over the next 48 hours. But like I mentioned, the ridge definitely comes back for next week. So here's the highlights by Tuesday. That ridge of high pressure starts to build back in from the west and shifting into the central states. It parks itself over New Mexico, and that's a 600 DM parked over Mexico. You're going to see the highest temperature anomalies underneath that. We also have a secondary ridge that's actually building out here in the Atlantic, and that by the end of the week will actually start to entering portions off the East Coast, and you're going to be starting to see your highest temperatures so far this summer. So what it looks like for Tuesday, we're underneath that 600 DM where you would typically see around 90 degrees this time of year. You're 14 to 15 degrees above average, so that puts you well into the triple digits in a good part of New Mexico, and obviously well in the triple digits in Texas. Those triple digits return for Oklahoma, and even in the middle of the country where we see in those above average temperatures. And the only cooler spot in town really for the week ahead is going to be far extreme portions of the Pacific Northwest, where you're going to be seeing those average, if not slightly below average temperature anomalies for your region. But the rest of the country is going to warm up in a big way. And as we do warm up, the only saving grace I can tell you about is the humidity levels are likely going to be coming down. So as the ridge really deepens and strengthens, it typically starts to dry out the atmosphere. You have a drier atmosphere, the humidity levels, especially in the afternoon time frame, drastically go down. So a lot of brown shaded areas start to show up on the map as most of the country starts to dry out. And the heat indexes, that's between the temperature and the actual what it feels like to the body. You're not going to be seeing these massive spreads of that where we've seen as of late, and it's going to be starting to become, I guess, somewhat less humid. Right? So as we go into Wednesday, as this ridge of high pressure continues to build and expand through New Mexico, through Colorado, through a good part of Kansas, on the northern periphery of that's where the storm placements are going to be. So they're likely going to be originating, setting up in the Dakotas and diving east southeast, getting into portions of Minnesota, back into Iowa, getting into portions of Wisconsin, likely by your Wednesday time frame. And that's where all the Cape is going to be as well. So you've got all the energy just pulled further north on the northern periphery of that ridge of high pressure. So that's the area of concern of any storm development. But as we get into the middle of next week, and some of these could be some big time hail producers, and definitely some higher damaging winds as well. So definitely be on high alert, especially as we get into the middle of next week with these ridge rider starts to take shape across these regions. But the heat's going to be the real deal, folks. I mean, in the middle of the country where you have experienced those below average anomalies, that's going to be replaced with summer. Right? So you've been save it out for enjoying those cooler than average summer so far, but that's going to be replaced big time with triple digit heats by the middle of the week in portions of Kansas, even Minneapolis, right? Regular highs about 82. You're going to 98 by Thursday, right? That's well above average temperatures. And even across the East Coast, where even New York City, I think you've only seen 2 days in a row now of 90 degree plus temperatures. you're going to start getting the real effect of the heat as we're going to be starting to see widespread 90s start showing up on the map because of that ridge of high pressure is going to be building in from the Atlantic and entering off the East Coast. And those temperatures are going to start to soar across the eastern regions. So much of the country is starting to be seeing above average temperatures, because look at the heat domes. But this is by Friday, folks. So there's the heat dome first off the southwest. That will expand north into the central plains. And then there's the secondary heat dome that will start to take shape and entering off the Atlantic and getting into our eastern states, and you start to warm up. Right? So you can see we got two heat domes to work with, and that's why much of the country is going to be above average. So that puts the storm track further north in the Dakotas, through Wisconsin, through the northern periphery of the Great Lakes. And then the cooler game in town, where you got a 576 DM of high pressure, that's cooler, right? That's definitely much cooler anomalies, and that's going to be feeling really nice. But you got to go pretty far up into the Pacific Northwest to experience those cooler than average temperatures, because here's the anomalies by the time we hit Friday, right? So between the dominating ridge coming on off into the East Coast and the ridge building, off the Southwest and into the central states, that puts much of the country above average. So, and that's the hottest time of the year, folks. So you typically are hot, right, this time of year. But when you start to have ridging over these regions, and especially two ridgings, that puts these temperatures well higher than what you would typically see, this time of year. But taking a look at the tropics, because we got two areas of concern. First, Don, that sits there and spinning and spinning, and it's not going anywhere. In fact, it's actually getting more organized out in the middle of nowhere. And then we also have another pretty healthy, it's small but mighty out here in the Atlantic. It's a 70% probability this is going to become Emily over the next couple of days, and it's probably going to be taking the name just in the next couple of days, and that's going to be traveling westbound into the Caribbean and hit Barbados probably sometime in about 6 days from now. But let's take a look at Don, because Don, in the latest satellite picture, it's looking pretty healthy, folks. And in fact, this actually might become the first hurricane of the season. It's just going to become a hurricane. There's no impact to land or anything like that. But it's definitely looking really impressive this morning on satellite, and it's actually got an eye associated with it as well. So it could very well be already a hurricane out there. It just hadn't been named. So it definitely wouldn't be surprising that Don would actually get upgraded to a hurricane sometime in the next day or two. But further south into the Caribbean, let's take a look at the shear, because typically we're in an El Nino, right? Typically you have higher probabilities of a lot of shear, which inhibits storm development, right? So out here in the open waters where we've seen most of the storm development, there's next to little to no shear, and that's one of the reasons why we probably have Emily that will take a named storm and it will continue westbound. You can see a lot of whites. There's little to no shear by the time it heads into Barbados. But once it gets into the Caribbean, it's got a tougher road to overcome, because not only do we have a lot of shear into the Caribbean, but also in the Gulf of Mexico, that which typically just rips any storm circulations apart. So if it does actually take the name Emily, it's definitely going to be hard pressed to make it past the Caribbean into the Gulf of Mexico, because it's going to be having a lot of deterrence in its way. Yes, there are record high temperatures, sea surface out here in the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico. There's no question. It's a hotbed. I mean, these things it's on fire, but that's only one element of the puzzle. You got to have all the ingredients together to form tropical cyclones, and if only one is thrown off, that throws the mix out of character, and you have less likely of storm development. So if we break down the next 7 days, right? So we got the cooler air, you're enjoying it for one day, right? Further south. But it comes back with a vengeance. So overall, for a good part of the west and northern states and parts of the southern plains, sees well above average temperatures. The only cooler game in town is going to be off the far extreme portions of the west and Pacific Northwest coast. And overall, if you take just the averages over the next 7 days, it's going to be somewhat just about normal. But between the highs and lows, the ridge does come into these eastern states, but that typically doesn't start until the end of the week. But the rain is going to be hard pressed. So we're probably not going to be seeing terribly too much flooding concerns going on into next week because the ridge is going to be so dominant. It's just going to be really starting to be dominant across these regions. So the precipitation front is going to be somewhat on the drier side, but there's doesn't look like there's much end to this ridge of high pressure because going into August 1st time frame, right? So now we're getting into the ensemble guidance past 10 days, and that ridge just does not go anywhere. So it's draped across the southwest, it's over the southern plains, it's over the central plains, and even out east. So right, so you got that dominating ridge of high pressure, ton of sinking air further south, and looking at the precipitation anomalies beyond that time frame through the first week of August. Obviously, with the ridge of high pressure draped across these regions, ton of sinking air, very dry soil, heats up quickly, but it doesn't, it's hard pressed to get storms in this region. So any storms that do try to form by that time frame are going to be in the northern periphery of these. So you're probably likely going to be in the Nebraska regions and the Dakotas, through Minnesota, through Iowa, through Wisconsin, through Illinois, through the Ohio Valley, into the Great Lakes, into the Mid-Atlantic, into the Northeast, into New England. Those are your areas that are likely going to be seeing storms and rainfall for the first week of August. So guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video, definitely hit the subscribe button, and catch me next update where I protect you before and after storm.